I don't cut anything out of my diet. I don't, I still eat all the food that I want to eat, but I just make sure, especially when you do this, you know the moderation of how much you should be eating. So, I just looked at the camera. You definitely can't read what's on this board. And if it was closer, you still probably wouldn't be able to read it. All good. All right, so today what we're going to go through, what I'm going to talk about is how to lose weight. All right, so the big secret, how to lose weight. All right, so it is simple if you simple it down. It's complicated if you overcomplicate it, like most things that we do. If you make it hard, it's going to be hard. Try to simple it down as much as you can, because if it's too complicated, it's going to be hard to follow. You're not going to stay up with it. So try and follow these few tips I'm going to go through today, and then see if you can do it. Stick with it for a little bit, track it, and then you'll see how much the weight comes off, and it'll be a magic to you. All right. So again, so we're just going to go through how to lose weight. I've got 9 different points down here that I'm going to go through. So bear with me. I know you can't read it, but I'm going to talk about as I go through them as well. All right. So first thing you're going to do is work out your BMR. So BMR is base metabolic rate. Sounds confusing, I know it does. Don't worry, just Google it. There's thousands and hundreds and thousands of different calculators that do it for you. So base metabolic rate is pretty much how many calories your body burns on a normal day doing whatever normal activities you normally do. So usually you go to a website, you go to any type of tracker. There's an algorithm for it that you can do on your own if you want to go make it a little bit harder, but just go to one of those things. It'll get your age, your height, your weight, and then it'll ask you your activity level throughout the day. So it's usually like active, sedentary, lightly active, very active, whatever it might be. So you just plug in your different details, and it'll come back with a rough estimate of what your base metabolic rate is. Right, so first things first, that base metabolic rate is almost 100% not going to be 100% your base metabolic rate. It's just a ballpark figure. So it's not going to be, yes, I'm going to eat this much, I'm not going to put on weight, I'm not going to lose weight. All right, because everyone's different, everyone's got a different makeup. It's just the best algorithm that it can to get close to what yours would be. But again, everyone is different, everyone's got different body types, everyone does different things, they eat different foods, different genetics, it all makes it different. But that is your base ballpark starting point. And that's what you're going to start off with, all right? So go to one of those websites, get your BMR, work out what your BMR is, and then we'll go with that. We'll start off with that. All right, so step 1 is done. Step number 2, take off or add. So I probably should have step number 2 before this. What is your goal? Is your goal to put on weight? Is your goal to lose weight? Is your goal to maintain weight? All right, so if your goal is to lose weight, we're going to take off 5 to 10% of whatever your BMI is. So how many calories your body needs to maintain, or what that ballpark figure says, we're going to take 10% off that, or 5 to 10% off that. We don't want to do too big. We don't want to reduce too many calories too much, too quickly, because then as you gradually come down through that deficit, as you keep losing weight, you don't want that calories to get down to 0, okay? Because you don't want to eat nothing, all right? Because then it's going to mess up metabolism and all the other bad stuff that happens with that, all right? So if you're trying to lose weight, take off 5 to 10% of that BMR. If you're trying to add weight, you're going to add 5 to 10% of that BMR. Again, same sort of thing. We don't want to put on too much body fat whilst we're trying to put on size. Some people do it and they go extreme with it and they put a lot of body fat. They might put a lot of muscle on, but they also put a lot of body fat, so they don't look the greatest whilst they're going through that bulking phase. So 5 to 10% is a good way to go about it. Then, as I was saying before, that BMR is probably most likely not exactly your BMR. So 5 to 10% below it, 5 to 10% above it, still might not necessarily get that change. You might be 5 to 10% below your BMR that you got off the website, but you still might be putting on weight. It just means that your BMR is probably not where that is, but that's why it comes down to 0.4 and 5. We'll get to those a little bit later, but that's about tracking. All right, I'll get to that a little bit later. So 5 to 10% off your BMR. All right, cool. So then once you've got that, so 5 to 10% off or on or maintaining, then you're going to split those up. So your calories, you're going to split those up into different macro groups, right? So this is where it's important, because people think that they eat under a certain amount of calories, they're going to lose weight. True to an extent. But I can eat, let's say you break it this way. Say my BMR is worth 100 donuts. I could eat 98 donuts and lose weight. Technically, I could lose weight, but I'm also going to be losing a lot of muscle because there's not a whole lot of protein in donuts. There's going to be a lot of carbs and a lot of fats as well. So that's where it comes important that you need to break it up into macronutrient splits. All right, so again, sounds hard, sounds difficult, but fortunately due to technology, there's a lot of different apps out there that help you out with this and it makes it a lot easier. The one I go to, I've got it here somewhere, is MyFitnessPal. So MyFitnessPal, it's an app, Android, Apple, every phone's got it. It's pretty much one of the best databases you can use. Pretty much anything on the planet that you can eat is on that. Usually if you got a barcode, you can scan the barcode. If you don't have a barcode, type in whatever you're eating and it'll come up, it'll be up there for you. There's different ranges. So usually it's gonna be it's not most accurate, but it's gonna be more accurate than just guessing. So MyFitnessPal is a good way to track it, and that's gonna make this a whole lot more easier, trying to break it down into macro splits. All right, so splitting it into macros. So you can split it however you like. The recommended one that I usually recommend is having higher amount of protein, moderate fat, moderate carbs. All right, whether you're putting on weight or losing weight, usually if you want to put on weight, you're probably gonna increase your carbs a little bit higher, but it's gonna get increased anyway because your caloric intake is gonna be higher overall. But a good split that I usually go with is 40, 25, 25. So 40%, that doesn't work out, does it? Sorry, it's 40, 30, 30. All right. So it's 40, 30, 30. So there you go, get more carbs and fats. So 30 and 30. All right, so it's 40, 30, 30. So 40% of your caloric intake will come from protein, 30% will come from carbohydrates, 30% will come from fats. All right, again, so I'm not the best at math, as you just saw, I had 90% up there total. All right, so what you want, so to work that out, you don't necessarily need to do this again. If you have MyFitnessPal, get the app, it will do it all for you. All you need to do is plug in these percentages and it'll work out the numbers for you. I'm not great at math, you don't need to be great at math. If you are great at math, you can work it all out on your own if you want to. This is more work that you got to do. All right, so 40% of your caloric intake is going to come from protein, 30% is going to come from carbohydrates, 30% is going to come from fats. Again, don't need to worry about the numbers with this. You plug it all into MyFitnessPal, it'll break those up for you. So if you have a weird number of your caloric intake, doesn't matter, it'll break it up for you and the numbers will be correct. All right, cool. So that's what we got next. So make sure, this is an important step that people skip a lot because they always think calories are calories. No, calories are broken up into different things. If you want to break it down even further, you go to micronutrients. That's if you want to go a little bit deeper, but simpler than that is just macros, protein, carbs, and fats. All right, so that's where it's going to come down to. So next one is number 4, important again, is track your intake. So track what you are putting into your body. So another, as I said before, easy, MyFitnessPal, type everything you have. So when you go to eat something, type it into MyFitnessPal, select it. You don't need to necessarily weigh everything out. You can just guess, that looks about 100 grams, that looks about 200 grams, whatever it is. It's, in the grand scheme of things, not gonna make a big difference. Like if you wanna get really pedantic with it, you can start weighing stuff. I personally weigh things, but you don't have to do that. You can just take a stab in the dark, say it looks about this, looks about that. Sometimes in MyFitnessPal, they even have, it's like, depending on what it is, it's like 1 egg, 2 eggs, so it's not like 100 grams of eggs, or whatever it might be. So go through MyFitnessPal, have a play with it, track your intake. So make sure everything you are eating, you are tracking so you know, because it's gonna be hard if you just take everything in and you just guess, oh, it's about that many calories. It's like, what's an example? It's like driving through a dark road with your lights turned off. It's pretty much what it is. It's like you're going in a direction, but you don't know where to go. You've got to track it to make sure you are knowing what you're putting in. So then when you go to step number 5 is track your progress. All right, so how you track your progress with this one, you can do it a number of ways. You can do it weight, you can do it how your clothes are fitting, you can do it by how you look in the mirror. So there's going to be different ways you can go about it. So a lot of people do weight with this, so especially with your weight, you can track however often you want to. You can do it every day, every morning. You can do it once a week, once a fortnight. So what I would recommend is at least probably once a week tracking your weight with this, because what that's going to do is going to let you know if by what you were doing, if you're eating under or over, if it's actually increasing your weight or decreasing your weight or not doing anything at all. So within 7 days, you should get a little bit of a change, depending on what you've done to your macro split. So weigh yourself when you start, weigh yourself in about 7 days, at the same time. So usually that's the best time to do it. So if you do it on a Monday morning or a Saturday or a Friday night or a Friday morning, do it at the same time that next week. Just so it's a little bit more accurate than rather doing it in a morning time and then your next weigh in next week is at a night time, because your body changes over the day, what you take in and all those sort of things as well. All right, so make sure you're tracking that. So I usually do it at least once a week to see if you're putting on weight or losing weight. All right, again, if you're not that keen on scales, that's sweet. Go by how, if you look in the mirror and you look like you're getting thinner, you look like your muscles starting to pop out more, you look like you're getting more toned because your body fat's coming down a bit. That's also going to be an indication that it is coming down. You can see that if you think it's going too fast or if you're losing too much muscle, whatever it might be, but you got to track your progress in however way that you want to do it. There's just a few options. All right, so next one is place food into tracker before your mouth. All right, so this is optional, but this is if you want to get real pedantic with it. So usually what I do is, especially with MyFitnessPal, I personally use MyFitnessPal, is that is my budget for the day. So for example, whatever my calorie intake for the day is, whatever my numbers are, that's my budget. And I usually put my money into that budget before I spend my money, if that makes sense. So I usually put my food into the diary before I eat it. So I know that if I'm not going to go over pretty much. That's what I know before I go into it. However, you don't need to do this. It's just a way to do it if it makes it a little bit more accurate, a little bit more easy to follow. You can plan it before you do it. So it's just like a pre-plan. If you don't want to do it that way, you don't have to. You can just eat as you go along the day. And then if you have, it's just the only downside of that is you could use up your whole budget before you get to nighttime. And then you're going to go over usually because you're still going to eat at nighttime. Some people have the discipline not to eat like for hours on end. They do fasting. That's nothing that we can go into. But usually I like to do my budget before I eat it because then I know I can eat throughout the day and I've planned all my things out. But if you don't want to do that, you can try and plan it out, because the benefit also, the other side of that is you might get to the end of the night or end of the day and you have a lot left over, since you can still put more food in before you go to bed. Which is not necessarily a bad thing because the BMR is going to be the same. It works within a 24-hour period. All right, so it's not like you eat before bed, you're going to get fat. No, because if you eat before bed and you're still under your caloric intake, it can't really turn to fat because you're still under what your body's burnt throughout that day. All right, so if you get to the end of the day and you can still fit in more food, happy days. Add more food into your budget. All right, but you can do it either way. I personally prefer putting my budget in before I spend my money. If you want to do it on the go, do it on the go. However you want to do it. All right, that was tip number 6. All right, tip number 7 is keep your water intake up, especially, you meant to, like just in general, but especially if you're decreasing your calories, because you are going to be hungrier throughout the day because you are eating less than maybe what you used to, or depending if you've just started getting into tracking your weight, you're eating less than maybe what you were doing before because you weren't tracking before and you realize, oh, man, I'm eating a lot less than what I used to eat. And this is how much I need to eat to just maintain what I'm doing. So water intake is going to be big. Water intake in general is big, so you should be taking water, whatever it is, like 2 liters a day, really around that sort of mark, over 2 liters a day. So that's sort of what you should be aiming for anyway, but trying to keep that up, especially whilst you're in a cut, like whilst you're decreasing your weight, water intake is going to be highly important as well within that. All right, so number 8 is keep lifting heavy. So especially if you're losing weight, keep lifting heavy, because a lot of people, when they decide to lose weight, they start doing more cardio-based activities, start running a lot more, start doing more higher rep things, and they start moving their weight, like their strength training, to the side. Not necessarily the best way to go. It's not a bad way, it's not a terrible way, but it's not necessarily the best way to go about, especially if you're trying to hold on to muscle mass as you are dropping your weight. Because again, muscle mass is a good way to boost metabolism, because the bigger the muscle is, the more calories that are burnt to try and recover that muscle after a workout. You have a smaller muscle, less amount of calories that are being used to replenish that muscle, so less amount of calories so pretty much just slowing your metabolism down, because it doesn't take as much to recover your body as it would if it had a bigger muscle. So maintain that strength training, keep breaking those muscle fibers down, keeping that protein up. Remember that ratio we went through before, 40% protein, so keeping that protein up still high is going to be important about that. So again, so I didn't go through the recommended thing here. So with your protein, it's recommended, I sort of don't go below 2.2 times my body weight in kilograms. So whatever my body weight is kilograms, I times that by 2.2, and that's how many grams I want to be having as a minimum amount of protein per day. So whatever my weight is currently in kilograms, I times that by 2.2, and that is my minimum amount of protein in grams throughout that day. All right, cool. Hopefully we're still following this. It does get a little bit confusing. I'm throwing a lot at you right now, but it's something that once you get started into it, doesn't take a whole lot to learn. It's just a few numbers plug in, especially because I said technology has improved so much. Getting all these things pretty much is just in an app. So pretty much you can do most of this stuff in MyFitnessPal. You get your BMR from any type of Google website, typing BMR calculator, you're going to get roughly the same sort of thing. As I said, BMR is not going to be exactly your BMR. So it's just a ballpark figure. This is all going to be trial and error to first start off, especially if you haven't tracked anything before. Starting off is going to be trial and error to see where your body is at the moment. Like it might be where the recommended one is, where it's told you, but it might be, you might have a faster metabolism than what the Google one's told you. But that's what the whole point of tracking it is. This is going to give you a ballpark figure to know where to start from, and then you can work from there. As you're tracking your progress, as you're tracking your intake, that's where it's all going to come from. That's where you're going to find out where you're at, and if you can add more food in, if you can take more food out, still whilst you're losing weight, or if your goal is to put on weight, still whilst you're adding on weight without putting on too much fat in that process. All right, so keep lifting heavy. Last one, with everything I do, everything I try and push is keep having fun. This can be overbearing. This can be tough, especially if you are getting really low in your calories. Don't let it overtake your life and overtake your fun of doing what you're doing every day. So you're doing this for a goal. You're doing this to reach whatever body type you're trying to reach, or you're doing this to get healthier. You're doing this for whatever reason you're doing this. Keep that reason in your head and keep the other reasons behind that. It's always a deeper reason to why you want to get to wherever you want to get to. Whether it be for your kids. A lot of people do it for their kids and so they can play with their kids. That's a massive one. Whether it be just to move better in life, whether it be you've been told by the doctor that you need to do this, whatever it might be, don't get your head down about it. Look at it like, yes, I get to do this. I'm going to do this. This is a goal. This is fun. I can work out how my body works. I can work out what my body can take. I can still eat great food. That's another thing with this. I don't cut anything out of my diet. I still eat all the food that I want to eat, but I just make sure, especially when you do this, you know the moderation of how much you should be eating. So you don't need to pack on the chocolates, the cakes, and all those sort of things. You can still eat those though. Don't get rid of anything. You can still eat those things. That's a big thing for me, is that I wouldn't want to do it if I wasn't enjoying it. So keep doing it, keep enjoying it, but this is just a good way to find out about your body and how your body reacts to these different sorts of foods. Because if your body is, if you're eating a lot more biscuits, cakes, donuts than you should be, your body's going to react in a way that it's going to be negative to what you're trying to do. But you, by tracking it, just by typing a little thing in, donut, I ate 3 donuts today. And then if you can fit that into whatever it is, but you're still making sure that you're breaking down the macronutrients. It's not just a calorie as a calorie. As I said, if my budget was 100 donuts and I ate 98 donuts, I'd still lose weight, but also lose a lot of muscle because there's not protein in there to hold on to any muscle. There's no protein, there's a lot of carbs. There's no protein with the carbs to do that protein synthesis. So make sure that you still have those macros, but fit stuff in that you enjoy. But obviously you have to make a little bit of changes to moderations and things like that to fit everything in that you enjoy and can still work with your goals, whether it be to lose weight or to put on weight. But big thing is keep enjoying the process. So trust that this will work, because it's the most proven way to work, because it is the numbers that essentially work with your body, and you'll know by tracking it how much you're taking in and what it's doing to your body. And then you can make adjustments there. If you find that you're, and this ratio might not work for you. 40, 30, 30 might not be the best way for you. Maybe you go better from a higher carb, lower fat, or you go from a moderate protein, whatever, high fat, or something, whatever your body is. My body is different to your body, yours is different to mine. We're all different to each other. It's whatever works for you. So this breakdown might not work for you. Your calories might not work for you, but this whole process will work for you, because it's all about trial and error. It's about working out what you need and then plugging it in and then tracking it and going along as you go. Trust me, you will see weight fall off if you're trying to lose weight, you'll see weight put on if you're trying to to add on weight. The biggest thing is staying consistent with it, because as soon as you drop off consistency, then you lose the track. So you're on a train, as soon as you take one step off the train track, you're off the train track. You can hop back on it, but you just got to make sure that you don't derail for too long. Always, as I say, always get back on the wagon. As you might have some crappy days. I have crappy days. I have some periods where I go for crappy times. But it's about getting back onto it. Don't worry about the crappy times. Get back onto it. Start back at where you were and keep going from there. And then keep tracking, keep seeing what your body is doing and how the food is reacting, or how your body is reacting to the food that you're taking. So again, guys, always have fun with it. So just to recap again, quick recap. How to lose weight, or how to put on weight, depending on what your goal is. So first, work out your BMR. Go to any Google website. Type in your details, figure it out. Again, it's only going to be a ballpark figure. It's not going to be the exact figure. It's going to be a ballpark figure, but it's going to be a place where you can start from. Again, depending on if you want to lose weight or gain weight, you're going to add on or take off 5 to 10% of that BMR, caloric intake, and then that's where we're going to start from. All right, then you split that into your macronutrient breakdown. So whatever ratio you want to use, I think 40, 30, 30, so protein 40, carbs 30, fats 30. I think that's a good one to go by. But again, trial and error with yourself, whatever you feel like is good. I just feel like, as I said, 2.2 times my body weight in protein is the minimum amount of protein that I want to be getting in. That's recommended as well. Track your intake. MyFitnessPal is perfect for that. MyFitnessPal does most of this, so if you want to download that app, you can grab that app, go have a play around with it. Don't get too stuck into it if you don't want to, but just play around with it, see how it goes. Track your progress. You can do that by weighing yourself. I recommend once a week if you're going to weigh yourself. If not, if you don't like the scales, you can go by how you clothes are fitting or how you look in the mirror. So these are clothes and mirror also good. You can also tell clothes are getting tighter, clothes are getting looser, how you look in the mirror, muscles starting to show, veins starting to show, different things like that. It's also going to show you if you're putting on or losing weight, depending on your goals. Number 6, place food into your tracker before your mouth. That's where you budget. So again, I like putting my budget out there first before I start spending any money. Some people like to spend money on the go as they're going through it. So in MyFitnessPal, you can either put all your food in there before you eat anything, or you can eat on the go, just that you might not have anything left over at the night time, or if you get lucky and you budget correctly throughout the day, you might get stuff left over at night time. And you can still add more food in at night. All right, so that's just the thing there. I prefer to put my stuff in before I put my stuff into my budget before I put it into my mouth. All right. All right, then water intake up, always important. Just with normal living, water intake should be always up there. So again, anything like 2 liters and above is really around that sort of mark is good. Keep lifting heavy. So again, especially if you're trying to lose weight, strength training should not be pushed to the side, and you shouldn't just think just all cardio is going to do it. Cardio, you need cardio in there at some point to sort of add that caloric output throughout the day, but training heavy is going to maintain muscle as you're keeping that protein up. It's also going to maintain muscle as you're dropping your weight down, because as we're losing weight, we don't want to drop as much. We want to hold on to as much muscle as possible, because it's going to keep our metabolism higher as well. I went through that before. All right, so and last but not least is keep having fun. Enjoy the process, trust the process. There are times you're going to get down the dumps. There are times you're going to go off the wagon for a little bit. Like, we're all human. I do it. A lot of people do it. They fall off the wagon and it doesn't go well, but you just got to hop back on, not worry about what just happened. Just get back on it and just stay as consistent as you can and start doing all these little things and keep it going. Because the more, again, it looks like it's a little bit out here, but again, if I just try to put as much information out there as I could, but it's very simple, guys. If you just get an app like MyFitnessPal, play around with it, you'll see, and you don't even need to be that specific with what you're eating at first. Just start plugging stuff in, say, I had this throughout the day, I had this throughout the day, just so you know. Don't have to show anyone, just so you know what you are eating. And then you can sort of it'll give you a summary of what's in those things and how you are at the end of the day. And then just so you can sort of know what you're putting into your body. So that's the biggest thing with this, what I got from this when I first did this as well, was learning about what I'm eating. Because really I just ate whatever I ate, whatever was cooked for me, whatever was out wherever I was out, I just ate. So it's good to know what that is and what it's doing to your body, what's in it, and how it affects you is a good thing as well. All right, guys, but have fun with it. Don't stress too much. Just trust that this will work. You just got to stay consistent with it. All right, I thank you for your time, guys. Appreciate it. Again, try to do this every Wednesday at some point, but I'll catch you in the next video, guys. If you have any questions, send them through. Let me know. Send me a DM, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, email, dbfitness19@gmail.com.